Ayo and hello everybody, it's me, your weird Uncle Ian. In today's video, I'm going to be showing y'all the character that I ended up drawing for, well, the show that I've been a part of, aka Roll for Hero. A segment of the show where we let the dice dictate what kind of character that I will be drawing within that live session with my very good friend, Mr. Fish, over at Mr. Fish Comics. Please go check out his stuff. It is actually worth your time, effort, and energy to apprehend in any way, shape, and form, because he is the fastest pen in indie comics and one of the best mentors I've ever learned from his beautiful bald head and all that other kind of fun stuff. But anyways, I think y'all heard enough of me talking, so how about you like, comment, subscribe, do all the typical YouTubery things, and share this video. And heck, if you're interested to kind of see what this whole Roll for Hero thing is about and you want to roll up a character for yourself, please go check out the Roll for Hero stuff. All the lists and all that other kind of stuff is going to be actually on Mr. Fish's whole video, which I will have in the link in the description below this video. But it's time that I show y'all my character that I ended up drawing for this entire segment. This is the character that we ended up rolling up, a character that lives in a fantasy-based setting who was gifted their powers, or if anything, has inherited their said powers, and is obsessed with following the rules, so is a rule follower by all decree. Not only that, they have elemental control, and they're susceptible to mind control. Not only that, their powers come from an artifact that can actually be stolen and, taken away kind of thing, so there's already a bit of a trick going on there. And not only that, but this kind of hero is dark and is brooding. So that's the kind of character that we are basically kind of in the process of drawing here. So, with that in mind, I'm going to introduce you to Oakfang. And we begin the designing process. So, throughout the entirety of this process, designing the character, obviously I designed the skeleton and the bone structure of it. And not only that, but for some apparent reason, as soon as I dove into this character, the first instant thought that came into mind was just ancient Aztec. I don't know what it was, but something about it felt very fantasy and very like awe-stricken and very awe-inspiring to some extent. So I kind of dove into creating a fantasy character. Again, my original idea was to put this kind of character in a world where he's going to be fighting guys in tights, more or less, but this ended up becoming a vastly different character. So I was instantly already coming up with what kind of class in D&D would I associate this with. So I actually ended up coming up with the idea of him being like a multi-class of a monk and a barbarian, like a hardcore fighter, vicious and violent like a barbarian, but follows the traditions like that of a monk, which led to the idea of him having his elemental control. And you can kind of see throughout the process, I'm actually refining his overall design structure of showing off the mask and how it feels like it's an ancient Aztec thing. And not only that, but his helmet doesn't necessarily fully strike, with a singular animal. Again, maybe the helmet was to help, help his focus with the elemental control, and not only that, maybe even able to tap into some crazier aspects, and we'll probably dive into that when it comes down to the story. But other than that, this was the more or less dark and brooding kind of character to show the tattered clothing, the claws. So I just overall love the design that I kind of came up with right over here. So this here, I ended up coming up with the name of Oakfang. Again, his helmet looks like it's made of oak wood, and not only that, it shows the fangs and the claws. What do you guys think of this character? So, me and Mr. Fish were kind of spitballing some ideas and whatnot, some that were really interesting, and there's a few ideas that I really, really liked and I kind of just wanted to stick with and whatnot. So we can say that most of the people in this world inherit their abilities and powers through these helmets or these masks that they all tend to wear, which actually is what helps them focus, especially try to attune with the supposed primal, spirits, if you will. The animals that actually are able to represent the element, if you will. The eagle with the wind, the sharks with the water, the lion with the roaring fire, and the bear stronger than the earth itself and whatnot. Now, of course, there could be other animals that could be attuned to these elements, but you kind of get my drift here. And not only that, but we can say that my character Oakfang over here was actually the only character to not actually have a strong connection with any of them, but he managed to have a type of connection with these animals, to the point where he's able to kind of pick and choose each element and actually have some variation of control with them. You see, maybe there are those that are more attuned to being more, water-based, some that are more attuned to be earth-based, fire-based, and air-based. But in Oakfang's case, his mask was able to more or less help attune him to almost all of them, to the point where he's actually he actually has some of the signs that's very telling to being one of the world's greatest, warriors or a potential ruler for the Primal Empire. So the story could actually revolve around Oak Fang as he's going on this epic journey, trying, like self-discovery, learning more about himself in the process, obtaining newer friends while sticking to the strict moral code that he is trying to basically, strengthen these connections and strengthening himself along the way, learning more about him and attuning himself to each of the elements so he happens to have full control over everything. So this would be a really interesting story of self-discovery and of, friendship and bonds and whatnot. And not only that, but getting to know who you are and knowing that you're going to create like a legendary, title for yourself. And I just love this idea that you see Oak Fang, a dark and brooding hero, but maybe as the story progresses, you see him going from a dark and brooding hero to eventually becoming someone more brighter, someone more hopeful. So again, I kind of like that idea, but what do you guys think? What would you guys have done with the prompt that was provided here? Let me know in the comments down below. But other than that, what do you guys think of this awesome cover for, well, Oak Fang, who is, well, the warrior of the Primal Empire? And there we go. We happen to have the official cover for the Primal Empire, cover art. What do you guys think of this character? What do you guys think of the overall potential story concept? Would you ever want to see this become some variation of a webtoon? Would you want this to be some kind of a comic, maybe a mini comic? Who knows? Again, I love the way this came out. I love the character design entirely. And again, if you guys want to join along with me and my good friend Mr. Fish over at Mr. Fish Comics, please pop on over 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time for Roll for Hero, a segment in which we let the dice dictate which kind of character we'll be drawing that day. Again, I love the way that this came out. I love the overall aesthetic of it. I feel like this could be the next Avatar: The Last Airbender, but with like ancient luchadors having elemental controls. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I very much enjoy this. And not only that, I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. And if you want to see more stuff like this and you want to join along and tossing out some awesome suggestions at us, please, again, 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern over at my channel or Mr. Fish's channel, where you get to see us draw these characters live and brainstorm some new and fun ideas. And if you want to be part of that brainstorming session, again, join along, throw some suggestions, so hopefully we can, create fun stuff together. And heck, if you want to try your hand at rolling up some of these characters, please roll up a character and use the hashtag Roll4Hero. That's ROLL, the number 4, and HERO. So other than that, I'm going to end the video here. To my fellow weirdos out there, make sure to stay awesome, stay weird, and keep life to the easiest. Always remember that art inspires all, but you can inspire more. And of course, never forget to stay ultra.
Wednesday afternoon at 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central.